Slavery still exists. We're here to light up the path to freedom. This year, we are walking 902 miles on the Underground Railroad to raise awareness about one of the most hidden crimes on the planet, slavery, or as many would call it, human trafficking.
Wow, Kelly, that's really powerful. That is powerful. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I mean, 902 miles. How did you embark on this mission?
Well, that's a great question, Denise. Thank you for asking. In June of 2019, I was frustrated on Juneteenth when I scrolled through Instagram and I found that other anti-trafficking organizations, largely run by Caucasians, had not even acknowledged Juneteenth, which is a day of freedom for the largest legal human trafficking ring to ever operate in this country. And at first, I initially said, you know what, I'm going to be angry. I'm going to write a new open letter and let it go viral. And then I said, well, maybe they just don't know about it. And I took that as a burden and an assignment, and that a lot of people don't know about human trafficking. They don't know that it exists. They don't know that it doesn't just happen overseas, but it happens in our communities. And so I decided to ask a couple friends of mine, hey, would you mind walking the Underground Railroad with me? And that's how it started. It really started out of a frustrated place of people not understanding the significance of the Juneteenth, especially those who are in the fight against modern day slavery.
So, I mean, Juneteenth now is, become a major holiday in cities in some cities across the country. And so people are becoming more and more familiar with that, but they're not familiar with how human trafficking is impacting the Black community. What have you discovered about that during your time of planning this walk or this mission, and what is the impact?
Well, the first thing we have to acknowledge is that our ancestors, if you are a descendant of those who were enslaved, then you are also a descendant of human trafficking victims. They were bought and sold for labor, bought and sold for sex, bought and sold for medical experimentation, bought and sold for entertainment, along with a plethora of other reasons that people decided to look at their bodies as commodities. A large or vast majority, rather, of African Americans in the United States of America today fall into what we would call a vulnerable population. It's not all of us, because not everybody is struggling, but people who are in foster care or runaways. And we know like there's a large percentage of Black and brown kids who are in the foster care system. Then you have individuals who are addicted to substances, people who grow up below poverty, and because of disparities within education and a plethora of other things, redlining, and some other systemic issues that affect and plague Black and brown communities, it puts our children more in a more vulnerable space. And then our judicial system sees a lot of Black and brown kids who are victims of human trafficking as criminals. And so then they experience what we call double victimization, meaning they've been victimized by a trafficker, but then victimized by a system that says they want to protect them. And that's where you get the Centoya Browns, who was, recently released from being incarcerated when a 43-year-old white mortgage broker paid $150 to have sex with her 15-year-old body. That's where you get the Delicia Carmichaels, the Crystal Kaisers, the Patrice Smiths, and the Zephaniah Trevinos. And so human trafficking in the United States does affect minority populations at a larger rate.
That's amazing, because you've mentioned a lot of names that we don't know and
Yep.
we haven't heard of. And so this 900-mile walk, where did you start from?
Yeah. Well, we started in a city where it's called Lynchburg, Virginia. We left from my church, which is the Ramp Church International. And that's where I'm headquartered. But Lynchburg is right outside of Appomattox, Virginia, where General E. Lee, retreated. And that is where the Civil War ended. And so at the Emancipation Proclamation, that's when slavery was supposed to be over. So we started down there. We worked ourselves up through the capital, Richmond, Virginia. And then now we're in Washington, D.C. And so our walkers are right now, if you see this shirt, you know that they're a freedom walker. And by Sunday, we'll be in Philadelphia.
So I want to make it clear to those who are listening that we're not saying freedom, we're saying free them
We have to
walkers.
see them walk.
Yeah, free them walk. And so what are you all doing? What initiatives are you doing here while you're in the nation's capital?
Well, right now we're addressing issues. So we have a list of what we call like demands for legislators in every single city that we walk in, and so we've been distributing those call to actions. And basically, you still have about 27 states left in the United States of America that still charge children with prostitution. How can a child consent to a sex with an adult, and how could they be charged? They're rape victims, and so we have to stop using terminology, especially in media and press, child prostitute or underage woman. An underage woman is a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're pressing on for issues like that. Also, we're putting we just submitted letters to textbook companies because asking them to decolonize textbooks. And the reason why is because some of our walkers are from like that Richmond, Virginia area, and they went to high schools called Jefferson Davis High School. And I mean, Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate Army that wanted to expand slavery into the Midwest so that the Midwest could make more money in agriculture because they have free labor. And so I think that we're not taught these things, so we don't even know as Black and brown people to advocate for ourselves. And so he was an enslaver and oppressor. And so it's our goal when we go to different cities is to let the community know, like these are ways that you can fuel human trafficking, whether it's through pornography, whether it's participating in the sex trade, or not even knowing your consumer blueprint. Like, are the clothes you made from a sweatshop in China or something like that that's enslaving children, or Thailand? The shrimp you eat, is it from Thailand that were plants that have been accused of child labor? So yeah, we have a list of demands, and we just encourage people to visit our website to learn a little bit more about how they can participate. It's definitely follow us on social media.
And so we posted it, but we're going to do it again. Post your website. Have there been any wins yet? And I don't know how you would characterize a win, but have are folks listening? And then also, how many people are part of the Freedom Walk?
Well, we have 14 Freedom Walkers, and most of these individuals are moms, dads, spouses. About 98% of us are all business owners, and so like they're walking away from a lot of things for 40 plus days to do this walk. I think that every single day, Miss Denise, is a win, because I mean, we're walking 30 miles and we're able to do it, and physically and mentally and emotionally, even though it's a large undertaking. Every single step that we take is a win. And people that have never even acknowledged that trafficking happened, they're in our inbox like, man, well, what can I do to help? I'm just learning about this. So we took everyday people, like it took to operate the Underground Railroad that freedom seekers used to use, and we're creating new pathways to freedom. And the first thing we're doing is spreading awareness, like, hey, slavery still exists and it's happening right here in our own backyard. So I would say that every day is a win.
And you say you're going to end in Philadelphia?
No. Our next stop is Philadelphia. We're ending in my hometown, the place that I was born and raised, which is Buffalo, New York. And we're going to end on Juneteenth. And the reason why is because Juneteenth is a big deal in Buffalo. We have the second largest celebration in the entire nation. And so we have Harriet Tubman's family that's on board, Frederick Douglass's family that's coming and celebrate. We have Centoya Brown that'll be marching the last leg of the walk with us, along with people from all around the nation that are going to meet us in Buffalo on Juneteenth to do like the last 1 mile with the walkers from our city hall to the African American Heritage Corridor, which houses the Michigan Street Baptist Church, where freedom seekers used to hide in the basement of that church, like in the little cubby hole, because slave catchers would try to come after the 1850 Fugitive Slave Act was passed. So it's going to be a huge celebration. So like I said, we have people from all over the world coming. And so, I mean, I even invite you to come.
I just might. Right. Now that things are opening up, it sounds like quite a historic event. Yeah. And I really want to thank you for joining us and for sharing this information with us. Thank you. Here in the District of Columbia, we I don't know if we celebrate, but we acknowledge that we were the first freed here in the district. But that was an experiment that Lincoln had with the Congress in 2 years, prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It was a monetary issue, as you said, and it just didn't work. So we have DC. We have the first freed, and of course, the celebration that you all are acknowledging. Last question, though. You mentioned to me a little bit earlier that your walk is being documented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that something you can share with us?
No, I don't want to share it at this time, but it is a film that we're making, and it'll be out by the end of this year.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we'll keep our ears and eyes open for that. I want to wish you all much success. Like you said, every day is a win. And so I can wish you anything, it's just great weather and safety.
Thank you. We need that. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll keep in touch and we'll follow you on the website.
Yes, ma'am. Bye-bye.
All righty. Have a great one.